Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. It's really quite simple. It's pretty though. Let's get started. I'm going to be using some of the holiday rhinestones, some of these dark green ones. I have a knot tied from this chevron weave ribbon. It's that evening evergreen. Okay. I have a scrap of white. It's 1 inch wide. A scrap of evening evergreen, and this one is 2.5 inches wide. I have 2 pieces of the designer series paper that is 2.5 inches square, and a piece of soft succulent, which is 2 3/4 inches square. I have a piece of white, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and a white card base thick, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using the Wintery 3D embossing folder, this one here, and this Sentiment Noel from Tidings and Trimmings. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and run this through my embossing folder. Well, you'll notice the paper is wider than the folder, so I'm going to put it in. I'm going to run it through once, and then I'm going to put it in the other side and run it through. It will leave a little line, but it's not really that noticeable because it's got the branches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will be right back. Okay, I've done that. You can see it's not that noticeable, that line. It still looks pretty good. Okay. And I just realized I'm missing a piece. I need one that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 of white. And I need to trim these a little bit, so let me bring in my trimmer and we'll do that. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it sideways so you can actually see what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and just trim this 4 1/8. I like to always cut towards the rim because then the paper can't slide. By 5 3/8. Okay, so I got that one. Now these pieces are 2.5 inch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to center it on here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in. I hope I can remember to zoom back out. Okay. So half of 2.5 inches is 1 1/4. So I'm going to center this on here at 1 1/4 here, and 1 1/4 here. And then I need to make a slit to the center, which is also 1 1/4. So I'm going to put this down, and this is the one exception where I'm not cutting towards it, but there's a ruler here. So I'm going to go to the 1 1/4. There's like a little mark there on that, so I'm holding that down tightly, and I'm going to the 1 1/4. Now in this instance, if you go a little bit farther, it's not going to make a huge difference, but you want to go at least to the halfway mark. Okay. So let's bring this back in. This piece here that we embossed is going to get mounted onto this piece. It's going to be just a little 1/16 of an inch border. I'm going to use my wet glue. That's my glue of choice. You can use whatever glue you choose. I like the wet glue because it gives me that little second to slide things around to get it just lined up. It bothers me if it's not. Okay. And this is going to get centered right on the front of our card. Make sure I'm doing that on the front. And again, it's going to be 1/16 of an inch border. There's no right or wrong way as far as how the folder goes. Now, if you did not like this seam here, you could take the ribbon, and before you mount it to your card, or even now at this point, you can tie a ribbon around there and then just tie it in a knot. Okay, now we're going to do this part. We're going to take these two that we slid apart. We're going to slide those slits together. See, there's a slit open on this side, there's a slit on this side. Just slide them in together. So at this moment it looks like 2 half pieces. Okay? And it must be I got my cutting just a little bit off, but that's alright. Okay, so now there's a flap on the top and a flap on the top. Those flaps you're going to fold over and match those edges up with the edges of the previous. So you have that lined up. Fold that down. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Lift this one up. Match it with the edges. Fold it down. You could use your bone folder here, but okay, so now you've got 4 different patterns showing. So now I'm going to just put a little bit of glue underneath here. Line that up. Try to. A little bit of glue under this one. Okay, now we're going to, these little flaps here, you can choose to leave them up. And I'm going to go ahead and glue them down. Just a little glue under each one. Now you get all 4 sides of those 2 pieces. All 4 sides showing. Okay. Now I obviously did this in a slightly different I layered them differently, put the different one on top, so keep that in mind if you want to do it a specific way. Okay, now I'm going to mount this onto this piece here. Okay, now I'm going to bring in dimensionals. Put dimensionals on the back of this. Just going to do it in the corners. I'm not putting any in the middle because I'm going to pop my sentiment up in the middle, and I would like, if when it goes through the mail sorter, to only be 1 level, even though it's 2. I'll show you what I mean when I get there. Oops, and I forgot to zoom back out, but hopefully you could have seen what I did. Zoom back out. Knew I was going to do that. Alright, that's a little better. A little more. There you go. Okay, now we're going to center this up here, and I want it, the top and these 2 sides, to be about the same spacing. Do I want it that way? Do I want it this way? I'm going to put it, no, I want this one, those to be right side up, so I'll go ahead and put it there. Like that. I think that's right. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my strip of white and my evening evergreen ink pad. and the Noel stamp. Tap that on there very lightly. Stamp that here. Perfect. Actually, it's got something, maybe I pushed too hard. Let's turn it around, do the other side. Filled in the L. I didn't like that. There you go, much better. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the double oval punch. And this I'm going to slide in from the side, line up on that smaller oval on the bottom. Try to center it, punch it out. And I'm bringing the green, the evening evergreen strip. And I'm going to go from the top, so I don't waste any. I'm just going to go to where the edge of that oval is. And when I see it in this bottom oval, I'm going to back it off just a hair. And punch. Perfect. Now I'm going to mount this piece onto this piece. Make sure I stay in frame. This one will get dimensionals on it. Okay, we'll take those backs off. I'm going to put that right in the center of this. Okay, now you'll see when there's dimensionals here and here. Now when this one goes through the mail slot, it's going to push that down so that it's the same level as those dimensionals there. That's why I did it that way. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my bow, and I'm going to bring in some glue dots, or a glue dot. Let's stick a glue dot on the back. Which side do I want up? I want that side up, I think. Stick that right there. And to finish it off, I'm going to bring in my holiday rhinestones. I'm going to take one of the large ones, put it over here, a couple small ones, put one next to it there, and one up here. And the reason I did it there, it forms a triangle, which makes it so that you follow them around the page. So it centers your focus in that area. Okay, and that's our card. So one we just made together. It's really a very simple card. It just looks very complicated. And there was the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.